What's up, everybody?
Hi, guys.
We wanted to just come on here and celebrate
Yes.
because tonight or today in general
Yeah.
marks the 3 year anniversary of our miracle.
Yeah.
And when I say our miracle, um, we dealt with infertility for 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
And on this day, May 23rd,
Mm-hmm.
we found out that we were pregnant and it was naturally. And we'll
Naturally.
tell you the whole story of why a natural pregnancy is
Such a big deal.
such a big deal. Um, but let's just first kind of take a step back and kind of
Mm-hmm.
give you the story.
Mm-hmm.
And so, hope I'm going to let you more so because it was more so you dealing with a lot. But I'll interject.
Yeah.
But tell our audience about our journey, that 11-year journey
Mm-hmm.
from you know all the things that we went through from
Yeah.
the beginning.
Yeah. I would say our journey has been very, such a roller coaster,
Mm,
right? And I think that um, it started off with high hopes. It started off with, oh, this should be easy. It started off with, us protecting ourselves because we thought it would happen just like that. Like,
we did.
um, but then it was like when we realized we weren't protecting ourselves and things weren't happening, we were kind of just like, oh, snap, we may be in for a little longer journey than we thought.
Hmm.
But like you said, over the course of 11 years, we've dealt with um, infertility. We've started with oral
Treatments,
contraceptives,
yeah.
and we've done the IUI, we've done the IVF. We've had a total of two miscarriages.
Yeah.
But recently you talked about it, and it's like you don't really think about. Um, we've had two miscarriages, like we were pregnant and miscarried, but then also when the IVF cycles that we had failed, those were still embryos
Mm.
that were created and planted in me, and we've lost two of the actually what three because the first one failed, then they
First
put
one,
two
they
in
put
the
two
second
on.
time.
One never took, and the
Yeah,
third one took but miscarried. So we always
yeah,
talk about the two miscarriage, but then two lost embryos because they
yeah,
never actually
yeah.
even um,
Took.
took. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
So
so you went fast though.
I did go fast.
So
I
go
didn't know how
back.
much time we
Nah,
had.
what do you mean? We got
Okay.
it's our video.
Okay.
Um, Go back to I guess that first moment of like trying and
Mhm.
going starting treatments because that was at one point where we were, all right, we're gonna really like dig deep into what we're trying to have. Like
Mhm.
it's been a few years of you know of having unprotected sex, but nothing happening.
Yeah.
And so then the treatments, that was in what,
2015, right?
2014 or
20
2015?
we miscarried when?
2015.
2015. Okay. Yeah. So backstory, we got married 2009,
Hmm.
right? So from 2009 to 2014, we had been just not careless, but we haven't been protecting ourselves,
Yeah,
right?
because
At all.
you wanted to
Because
have
I was
kids
ready to have
immediately.
kids immediately. Yeah. That was
And you talking about
well,
not having money at all
we
to
didn't.
take care of the
I just knew
kids.
I wanted to be a mom.
So you
But
needed
yes, that's all I
the
needed.
willpower to be a mother.
Looking back
Mhm.
though, God knew what he was
God knew
doing.
what you doing.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so married 2009, uh, all the way up to 2014, we were actively just trying and
Hmm.
wishing for the best. Um, and then around 2014, that's what 5 years later, we realized, okay, we may need some assistance.
Hmm.
So we actually no, we started earlier than that with oral.
Oral treatments is
Oral
early.
treatment started maybe about a year or two after we got married.
Was that soon?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. About a year or two after we got married. And that was just like to try to get me regular and all of that stuff. It
Hmm.
wasn't anything major. Um, but yeah, so 2014, we went to the doctor and they tried some more oral medication. I also got diagnosed with PCOS in 2015 as
Hmm.
well. Um, and so they mentioned that that would make getting pregnant not impossible, but definitely hard
Mm-hmm.
and near impossible, kind of. But there was still that gleam of hope. No pun intended, sorry. um, but I would say that we got pregnant, and that's when we got excited about it because we had been wanting to get pregnant. And I
Yeah.
think at that point, I finally felt like, oh my gosh, I did it. Like, well, not me, but like we did it. Like, we
Mm-hmm.
got pregnant. Um, and it was such a exciting feeling. It was such a nervous feeling. It was such a, oh my God feeling. It was such a fearful feeling because, like, I didn't know how it was going to go. And so I remember we told our family early. We told our
Mm-hmm.
family because everybody at that point, when you tie the knot, they're ready for the kids, right? So at this point, it had been like 5, 6 years later. So we told our family, and uh, yeah, we came back home, and then we miscarried that baby.
Mm-hmm. At
Um,
what, 6 weeks?
it's about 6 weeks,
Yeah.
6, 7 weeks, yeah. And that was hard because now we have to face the fact of telling our family that we're
Mm-hmm.
no longer pregnant. Um, and so that I felt like a disappointment. I felt like I was disappointing you. I felt like I was definitely disappointing myself. I felt like I was disappointing family members. Um, and so I didn't know how to move forward. I know I didn't want to talk to anybody about it. I didn't want
Yeah.
to have those conversations right after. But yeah, so fast forward, we try again, and we keep trying with medications, and then I feel like we fast forward to 19 is when
Mm-hmm.
we were like, okay, we're gonna do IVF because we felt like that was promising. Literally,
Now, when did I you out? That was in like in
that was
between
like
that
in
time.
between, like
Yeah.
around 2017,
2018.
maybe.
2018. Yeah.
Um, and so with IVF, we were kind of just like, oh, we feel like this is almost like a
Guaranteed, right?
guarantee,
You
right?
feel like it, like you talking
Especially
the
with the money
money.
that's involved. Like
Yeah.
you feel like,
Even though
okay,
God had his hand in that.
yes,
Mm.
he did. I don't know how deep you want to go with
No,
that,
you
but
can
God
talk
definitely
about it.
had a hand in it because the state that we were living in at the time
Illinois.
covered, Illinois covers. There are certain states that cover a majority of IVF. So
Mm-hmm.
we had moved there for your job, and uh, yeah, it was covered. We only ended up paying like
Yeah.
$1,500 for two
Wild.
rounds of
Wild.
wild 2 rounds of IVF. So I was like, well, why not? We're here. We get a huge discount on it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try it. God positioned us here. This has to be the
Yeah.
reason why. And so it was a thing of, gosh, okay. So now this huge box comes in the mail, and it's all my medications. It's literally like, I mean, a huge, huge box.
Mm.
All right, so this is a very big package. They say that there's a video for all of this stuff. So we will be watching this video. Guys, these are my all of my shots, my needles. I mean, there's just so much stuff in here. I don't even know what this stuff is. Oh my gosh, it's so much stuff. This right here is a big package of something that needs to be refrigerated. And then there's 3 more bottles. So this is what our first and prayerfully only attempt at IVF looks like. A bunch of needles, bunch of medications. This right here is to discard all of our stuff and alcohol swabs. So we will keep you guys posted. Okay. And I'm going through it, and I'm like, my God, this is literally all the medicine that's about to be pumped in my body. And I'm like, me personally, if I don't have to take medicine, I don't want to take medicine, like whatever. Um, and so I'm like, but this is what I'm willing to do, because we want kids. I remember drinking a whole lot of water. I remember
Yeah.
exercising. I remember one thing that I rarely talk about, but I even remember going to a store and picking out a newborn outfit because I needed to hang it up on my wall as faith that one
Mm-hmm.
day that would be filled with our
I
baby.
remember that.
So it was like all these things that I was doing to get ready for um, this gift that I just knew God had for us in that package,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we go through, we do the egg retrievals, we do all of that stuff. So it's multiple surgeries. It's so intentional. It's timing. It's making sure you don't miss a dose, making sure you mix the medicines properly, making sure you like inject in the right site, like all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm nervous the whole time. Like I'm just like, God, we have to get it right. Like, what if we don't? Or it's just your mind goes everywhere.
And I always try to add a little
You
levity to
did
the
add a
situation.
lot of levity. I mean, you were Mr. Doctor, so that was fun for me in that sense. I feel like we truly made the best of it.
Yeah.
Like you could have found yourself getting very wrapped up emotionally, and I'm not saying that there weren't days like that, but um, we made the best of it, right? Um, so we go through the first round and there's nothing. And I'm like, okay. And so they're like, do you want to try again? And literally, right
Yeah.
after, right after
Yeah.
nothing caught, they were like, well, we can get you in here and, next 2 weeks or whatever,
Yeah.
start all over again. So I was like, okay, we're here now. We might as well just try it again, especially with them covering as much as they covered
Yeah.
insurance wise. I was like, why not? So it's like another round of emotions, another round of God, another round of faith, another round of fear, another round of just everything. And so we do it. And of course, they're like, oh, well, sometimes we have patients put in 2 embryos just in case, which also meant the possibility of twins. So
Which I was
I
excited about.
I just don't know if twins is what I want the first time trying to be a mom. So I was like,
I was for
but
it.
yeah, I was like, we here, let's just try. And so we did. And so we had the great news that, well, one took and one attached and you're pregnant. However, and I was like, oh Lord, now we have a
Mm-hmm.
however. It's like, it just couldn't be just normal,
Yeah.
So it's like, however, your numbers aren't as high as we'd like to see them, which means things aren't progressing the way that they should be. And then you have those moments where it's like, okay, God, now I need to activate my faith
Mm-hmm.
even more. Um, but it's hard at the same time because it's like you hear what the nurses say, you hear
Yeah.
what the doctors say, and it's like ultimately in church where I was like, whose report do you believe? And it's like you try your hardest to go there. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
God, okay, no, it's me and you and Kadero and the faith and all this stuff. However, there's like this small little piece that still remembers that voicemail or that
Mm-hmm.
conversation. And so I'm like, okay. And so we lost that baby as well.
Mm-hmm. 6 weeks.
6 weeks. It's like it just, yeah. So now I'm like, okay, God, what is wrong with me? Like,
Mm.
why can't I hold a baby? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm thinking, is something wrong where I know there's surgeries where, you have to stitch things up inside to make sure you can carry and like all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, is something else wrong? And so um, at this point, they asked me again, do you want to go for a third round? And at this point, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
My hormones have been everywhere. My emotions have been everywhere. My faith has been everywhere. I'm totally just drained. And I feel myself getting emotional right now
Mm-hmm.
because um, I was just so tired. And I was so, I have a lot of emotions going on right now.
I
That's
didn't, I didn't
why
bring any tissues over here.
we did not. That's fine. I got sleeves. I'm just like so tired. And I'm like, God, this can't be what you have for me. Like this can't be it. Like I remember prophecies about our daughter. I remember having dreams about our daughter. I remember you having dreams about our daughter. And I'm like, why am I going through all of this when I know what your promise is for me? And and so I get to a moment where I'm like, I quit
Mm-hmm.
personally. Um, and I said, God, the only way that I'm going to get pregnant is if you do it. Um, I'm not going to seek anything else. I'm not going to try. my way or my time, um, I'm gonna focus on you. And of course, this is after I've laid in the bed for a while,
Mm-hmm.
after I've had my moments, after I've had my anger with God, after I've had my questioning with God. And not like I question him, but I question my journey to motherhood. Like, why do I have to go through all this?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I have that conversation. I totally surrender to God, and I'm like, okay, whatever you have for me, I'll, I'll take it. And I always have to remember his timing. Um, And so we stop. We stop IVF.
So,
We stop any type of treatments. We focus on doing what we believe God called us in to do in that
yeah.
season, which was start this every day with H&K.
Mm-hmm.
We started doing TikToks. We started getting our laugh back. We started laughing, enjoying each other.
Mm-hmm.
You came off your job and transitioned to another job as well. Um,
Yeah.
so it was like things were we were just in a surrender mode. I feel like we were
Yeah.
just like,
Total
God,
surrender.
what do you have for us? And I feel like when we got into surrender mode and we were open to his way,
Mm-hmm.
that's when he showed us his miracle for
Mm.
us.
Mm. So I'm gonna interject because I
Yeah.
want to at least let folks know, like, a lot of times women are looked at as either the problem
Hmm.
or like all the emotions go to them. And I want people to know, like, as the husband, as the male, like, while I didn't have to endure the physical, like
Hmm.
emotionally, it was a toll, like
Yeah.
emotionally to watch you, like we're one.
Yeah.
So to watch you in that pain hurt me.
Hmm.
And then as a husband that's so supposed to provide and feeling like I am lost at what to do, there was
Hmm.
nothing I could do to make the pain go away, make the hurt go away, the loss
Hmm.
of already two, in this case, two miscarriages and two embryos that never came to fruition.
Hmm. Hmm.
There was like nothing I could do about it. And that, for me, saying that journey to fatherhood, like, when am I going to be father? I've had dreams. I know
Yeah.
I want to be a dad. Like, I
Hmm.
know I see all these other kids. And I always had kids around growing up. And so I'm like, seeing
Yeah.
all these other kids, I'm like, I want that. I want
Hmm.
my own flesh and blood.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoy being
Hmm.
around some other kids, but I want my own flesh and blood.
Yeah.
So it was definitely one of those things where all I could do was just be a support system. When you
Yeah.
surrendered, it was just like, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
And like you said, um, we just started doing our own thing. I think
Hmm.
it was almost a thing. It was like we just totally not forgot about it, but it was like it was really on the back burner
Yeah.
of things. Like, it wasn't on the forefront of our mind where we're like, schedule, this is
Yeah.
that. It was like, okay, well, this is on the back burner. We're doing this. Now talk about May 23rd, 2021.
Okay.
Talk about that day.
Yeah. That was a good day, y'all.
That was a great day.
Um, I want to rewind just a little bit.
Okay.
Because I remember I wasn't feeling my best. I was just always tired
Yeah,
right
he
before
was.
this. And Kadero was nap shaming me, all the things. And I literally thought I was like sick. Like it's like, do I need to go to a doctor? Like I'm just sleeping all the
Mhm.
time. Um, and I remember one day you were praying. You were just praying, and I was laying in the bed,
Mhm.
and you like came down the hallway and you just laid your hands on my stomach and just started praying before we even knew that we were
Mm.
pregnant, before we even thought that we were pregnant. Like you just prayed over my stomach, and I was just like, hmm, okay. Um, so anyway, so I start sleeping a lot, boobs start hurting, and I'm like, okay, my period's coming.
Mhm.
That's got to be it. And I remember you saying, well, why don't you just take a test? And I remember thinking, no, I don't want to.
Mhm.
I literally think I've probably taken definitely close to 500 tests in my lifetime. Like it feels like that many. Um, and so I just didn't want to set myself up for disappointment. I didn't want to set myself up for um, I don't know. I was tired of thinking. and wishfully thinking that it would be positive. And then even if it was positive, I didn't know what it would look like after, time went on.
Mhm.
And because we had been there before, right? So I was like, okay. But you convinced me. And I got a test. And I remember that morning we had baptized each other because we were watching church and they were doing it was
Shout
Flood
outs to
Sunday,
Transformation
Transformation
Church and Pastor
Church.
Mike Ty.
Yes, yes,
We
yes.
was watching it for Flood
Flood
Sunday in
Sunday, yeah. And we were
2021.
like, let's just baptize each other.
Yeah.
And so we did that. And this was in our brand new house that we had just
Mm-hmm.
bought in Chicago. And so we did. And then, of course, you have your Sunday naps. And so we took a nap and um, I was like, okay, well, he's asleep. Let me take it. Because I was kind of sneaking. Like,
Yeah, he was.
I didn't want to take it like while you're awake. And then you're like, oh, let me see. And then it was just too much pressure. So I was like, let me just do it while you sleep. So I did it. And I saw I saw like the faintest line. And I was like, literally in my head, I'm thinking, do I tell him or do I wait to see if it progresses? Um, but I woke you up and I was like, I just want to kiss the father of my child. And I think you were just like, where is it at? Like, let me see it. Let me see it.
And the
And
line was super faint.
it was super faint. I mean, literally, I feel
Like
like
you
you were like,
wouldn't
shouldn't
think.
it be darker? I think you
Yeah.
asked me that. Like, shouldn't it be
Yeah,
darker?
like you wouldn't think
Yeah.
that it would be like a false positive the way it was
Yeah.
so faint. What are you doing?
I want to kiss father of my child.
For real? Where is it at? Where is it?
It's faint, but it's there.
You need to come in stronger.
I don't know. I mean, I could be very still early, like, but that has never come in before. So now you can't sleep shame me.
I wonder why you've been sleeping so much. You gotta take another one. How many you got?
3.
Okay.
I was like, and I'm convinced of myself, like, well, maybe, it's super early, in which it was. At that point, I think we were only literally at like 5 weeks, 4 or 5
Yeah.
weeks, because yeah, when we went to the
We were
appointment, we were
at the
6 weeks.
6 weeks,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's like, well, maybe it's just like super faint. And I remember the next day you're like, take another one, take another one. And we did notice the line was getting
Line got
darker and
darker.
darker. And I was like, oh snap, like this is
So if you are just
happy.
following along after 11 years
Yes.
of infertility, after
Yes.
all the treatments, after 2 failed rounds of
Mm-hmm.
IVF,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the end of 2019. In
Yeah.
2021,
Yeah.
when we surrendered to God, when we
Yeah.
just let it all to Him,
Yep.
He did the
Blessed us
miraculous and
naturally.
blessed us naturally
Yeah.
with our baby girl.
And when I say like she is literally everything that we've prayed for, like even I know I always tease about this, but like even her sleep, like she loves sleep. I needed her to love sleep because I love sleep.
Yeah.
Um, but her intelligence, her comprehension,
Yeah.
I mean, everything, the way that she flows with us when we travel, like everything is just what we've prayed for. And I always say that for us in our story, because I know everybody's journey is different, but for us in our story, I truly believe that God wanted to uh, pick the embryo that was perfect for us.
Mm.
And like he did that.
Yeah.
And she's just so amazing.
And you've always talked about, you said it already before, but God's timing is perfect.
Yes.
And we've always hear that God knew exactly when He wanted our
He'll
little
be in
girl
this
in
earth.
this earth.
Yep.
And if we would have had her 10 years ago, she would have missed the generation she's supposed to impact.
And I know, like, you always think about it too, like, when you think about God knowing the beginning from the end, knowing every single circumstance, knowing every single part of our life that's going to happen, knowing where spiritually you and I needed to be, where maturity wise we needed to be, where he wanted Novi, who he wanted her to grow up around, what atmosphere he wanted her to grow up around. Like, I am thankful, even looking back, that we did not have her. Well, we may one not have even had her. We might have had somebody else. But that we had Novi at the time, such as this, that she can grow up in church with kids and grow up around such such amazing people.
Yeah.
And everything is Christ centered, and our maturity level where we can be the great parents that we are. I'm deeming that we're great parents, right? Because we're at this point in our life where when she was born. So
Yeah.
he knows all.
Was there any fear in the pregnancy with her?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, literally, I feel like I would lie if I say that I like up until birth. I mean, because you think about one, the miscarriages that we've had, right? And then two, any complications that could happen. Even during birth, like there's complications that could happen. So until she was like home with me and you, I mean, because God forbid, like you see these. Okay, I'm doing a lot here, but you see Lifetime movies where babies are switched at the hospital or like different things, right? It's like
Then what?
anything could have
Yeah,
happened.
she was like
I was
not
like,
when she was born. She did not want that
no.
baby to leave her
They're like,
sight.
well, she can sleep with us, and this. No, we're fine.
And the crazy thing is, our birth story, like Hope, we got induced early.
Yeah.
And the doctor told us the baby's gonna be like around 8 pounds 6 ounces would be. But
I kept
Hope
telling them
that she
she
felt
feels
bigger.
heavy.
She feels heavier.
Yeah.
And then it was a thing where we got induced. They
About a
broke
week
the
earlier.
water.
Yep.
We got all the way to 9 centimeters. We did the epidural.
28 hours of labor. Yeah.
And when we got to 9, we got stuck at 9 because Novi
her head
wanted to
just
do like this.
done with this.
Now, that's what I just thought about. That makes so much sense. Done with this. Ma'am, that's exactly how your head
Yes,
was.
exactly.
That you had to put your poor
Oh
mother
gosh.
from having a vaginal birth to having a
C-section.
C-section.
Yeah. Double the bills.
And double the
Yeah.
bills. You owe us, Novi.
Yep, you owe us.
But then to like go through that, which
Yeah.
then we found out she was 9 pounds 14 ounces, 22
Yeah.
inches long.
Yeah. She was huge.
She was a big
Huge.
baby.
Yeah.
And she looked just like your grandmother
She
when she
did.
was born, who had passed right before we found out.
Right after. She passed on 27th.
Of May. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep.
And she looked exactly like her.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy just to think that cycle. Just the whole story. And to be here in this moment 3 years later.
Yes.
Like one thing we're gonna do is glorify God
Absolutely.
for this miracle, and we're gonna do it, and we have an anniversary of it. Yes. And so any words any words of advice for people, because I think one thing, especially when it comes to infertility, when it comes to miscarriages, when it comes to PCOS, all those things or something that's going on with men, we don't like to tell the story. And it's starting to get more where people are creating communities, but there are a lot of people that think they're alone.
Yeah.
And isolate themselves. But any words for people to know that God is real, what would you say?
I think for people that are dealing with infertility, I mean, we're not saying that we're opposed. I mean, we did treatments. Like we're all for it.
That
We know
may be the answer.
that may be the answer. God created the doctors, and I mean, so he's in that as well. Our story, I feel like for us personally, was just different in what he wanted to do in our lives. Um, but I would say definitely be open about communicating, because you do find out that there are a lot of people that are going through this, and some people may know things that maybe you haven't been privy to that information yet. So it's definitely a learning experience that you can glean from others. There's a lot of support emotionally in that, even spiritually, like therapy, I would say, because I know that when we started IVF, they made us sit with a therapist and ask where's our mental state, like how are we going to handle it, or do we think we would handle it if it didn't work, and like things like that. So I think you have to, and I'll speak for myself, but I do encourage other people to have that relationship with God and believe that if it is definitely in His perfect will for your life, it's going to happen. Trusting the fact that He knows the beginning from the end and knows all of the circumstances that could affect that child or could affect you, and that his order and his timing is perfect. And we have to just have faith on that. And I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that, oh, we're just out here having faith and we're in the best mood. Like, I had questions. I had anger towards God, and but He knows that already. And God was also angry at some point. So it's like it's something that naturally we're going to feel. But now we have to just change our perspective of, okay, if it wasn't happening this time, God has something else for me, or something better, or a different way, because also there's so many journeys to motherhood and fatherhood, and there's so many even kids out here that need a home. So it's like we may think that motherhood or fatherhood is coming one way, or desire it to come one way, but ultimately I feel like we have to be open to God's perfect plan for our life. And I think that once we totally surrender and put our plans to the side and say, God, whatever it is that you have for me, that's when He can say, okay, your heart posture is right. I see that you trust me. I see that, you're going to embrace the things that I have for you. And so I think just being open and just being um, faith filled and being transparent throughout the entire journey is just
Yeah.
what you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. I love you. I love our baby girl,
She's funny.
who is the
She's
absolute
she's great.
best. Um,
I
and
wish more people could experience her the way that we
I
experience
know
her,
because she be
because when she goes out in public, it's
acting
just
brand
like
new in front of people. She's like,
she's not feeling them. Yeah.
but man, I love what you said about people being open to what God has. Um, when we've talked about it recently, delayed blessing, greater purpose.
Yep.
And with that a delayed blessing, that blessing can come in many ways, in any type of way, and you have to be open to it. I literally know someone who they end up not being able to have kids, but their sister ended up
They
having
had to,
issues
yeah,
and had to give the kids,
the
she ended
custody
up
to them.
custody
Yeah.
to that. So like she ended up that, and she's pretty much their mom.
Yeah.
And so like those are instances like where God knew, like it wasn't for you to have your own because you were about to have these kids. Like you just never know.
Yeah.
Because there's a greater purpose.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
And I think too, like so many people are used to, we're in a society and a world where we can make a lot of the decisions that we want in life. So people are used to, oh, if I want this, I can just go get that, or I can go get that. And it's like, but we still have to have accountability. Like, who are we submitted to? And if that's going to require us to um like scale back and say, okay, yes, I'm used to in the natural having my way and getting whatever I want, but now you're answering to God and you're like, but what do you have for me? And sometimes that can hurt because we're so used to obtaining and getting
You know
things
what
that we
it's
want.
called?
What is it called?
Humbling ourselves.
Humbling ourselves. Yes. Gotta humble
Humbling
ourselves.
ourselves.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, fam, that's all we got, man. We
Yeah.
just gonna sit here and celebrate this day.
Yeah.
Um, but if you have any comments or anything, feel free to let us know. But yes, this is year 3.
Yeah.
Year 3 that we are able to celebrate the miraculous power of God. And I would say if you don't believe, um, I would say try.
Yeah.
Have faith. Hope. You need hope. I
Yeah.
have my hope, literally,
Yeah.
physically, and spiritual hope, because hope fuels our faith.
Mhm.
And God is real,
He is.
and we're
We're a
just
testament of that.
testament, and we have a testimony
Yeah.
of how real God is. So
Yeah.
we love y'all
Love you.
and appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Appreciate the H&K family.
Yeah.
And
Because y'all
it's
showed up when y'all found out we was pregnant. They showed up in a mighty way. I mean,
big
Novi
things.
is definitely blessed because of
Still
that.
using
Still
stuff that
using
people have
toys
given
and
her.
gifts
Like,
and yeah,
people
everything.
showered her with
Yeah.
gifts knowing our story.
Yeah.
Um,
So we thank
so
y'all
we
for that.
thank y'all for that for sure. And we
Yeah.
love y'all so
Yeah.
much. All right.
All right. Love you guys. Peace.